the sexual perversion that goes on in Washington. I mean, being kind of a young guy in Washington, but the average age is probably 60 or 70. And I look at all these people, a lot of them that I've looked up to through my life. I've always paid attention to politics, guys that, then all of a sudden you get invited to like, well, hey, we're gonna have kind of a sexual get together at one of our homes. You should come. And I'm like, what did you just ask me to come to? Yeah. And then you realize they're asking you to come to an orgy.
Yeah. Over a year ago, then Republican Congressman Madison Cawthorn stated that politicians in Washington, D.C. had invited him to sex-fueled parties, orgies, if you will. He then went on to lose his re-election bid following the ire that he had basically invited toward him by his Republican colleagues. But on a completely unrelated note, just yesterday, federal investigators announced through an arrest affidavit that they have busted several highly exclusive brothels on the East Coast that were apparently frequented by powerful figures, including politicians. Now, look, there could be some issues if politicians are visiting these establishments, issues pertaining to extortion. We'll get to that in just a moment, but let's give you the details on what the federal authorities are claiming here. So the details that we're about to give you definitely make Madison Cawthorn's statements from last year seem a little more real, but let's get to the Washington Post and they're reporting on this. So since at least July of 2020, prosecutors allege that Han Lee, 41, James Lee, 68, and Jum Young Lee, 30, ran brothels that advertised primarily Asian women under the guise that they were nude models selling their services to professional photographers. Specifically, the brothels were located just outside of Washington, D.C. and Boston, Massachusetts. So who was frequenting them? Well, the authorities, of course, didn't name names, but an exclusive clientele of elected officials, military officers, government contractors with security clearances, and myriad other professionals, including tech and pharmaceutical executives, doctors, professors, lawyers, scientists, and accountants, according to court filings. It turns out that people of all professions like to have sex. Wow, what a shocker.
Yeah, breaking news.
Yeah, so apparently the prosecutor stated that the brothel's hourly rates ranged from $350 to $600, where a premium price, and so these are premium prices, it's like a high-end brothel type situation. Yeah. Obviously, this is an illegal type thing. I think it should be legal and regulated, and to be quite frank, taken off the streets. That should be the biggest issue. But of course, that's not happening. In California, they decided to loosen loitering laws, so sex workers who are being trafficked in some cases, in a lot of cases, are walking around in thongs with no protection, with no regulation, and it is driving me insane because our state legislature is pathetic, and rather than legalizing and regulating sex work to actually keep these women safe and get them off the streets, they're like, we're just gonna do this half measure where we're gonna stop police from harassing them. And as a result, they're like literally like walking around naked in broad daylight every single day. And local residents who are concerned about it can't do anything about it, and there's no protection for the sex workers. It's so stupid. Anyway, that's a side note. Go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah, you went in a different direction.
I hate Newsom. Go ahead.
Okay, so look, guys, when he came out with the allegations that there was orgies in DC, it seemed a little far-fetched, right?
Did it?
And remember, he is like a radical right-winger, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories, etc. But is it far-fetched that there's politicians in DC that are having some sort of illicit sex? No, that's not far-fetched at all, right? And so, and this has been the case for a long, long time. David Vitter was caught with a prostitute. He's a Republican senator from Louisiana. I think there were some diapers involved or something along those lines. And then of course, Larry Craig was a Republican from Idaho, I believe.
A tap dancer, if you will.
Yeah, he would tap dance in the bathrooms, male bathrooms, where he would move his feet to the next stall. And then apparently that's a thing. I didn't know that was a thing. So then that's a code apparently. And then if somebody was a ticket, and I remember hearing rumors about how there's a Republican senator who would go to Union Station, that's the main train station in DC, right across from the Capitol, giving oral sex to random young guys in the bathroom at the train station. And I remember thinking, that sounds outlandish. There's no way that's true. That's some nonsense DC rumor. And then it turns out it was Larry Craig, and he would do this in bathrooms. Wow. And he got caught at an airport. not in DC, but elsewhere. And so the reason why I found the orgies to be outlandish is because it's not the kind of thing that you go like, hey, Bob, Susie, you guys want to come see me in the diapers? Instead, like it's a thing that you hire high-end prostitutes or do weirdo things in private and male bathrooms and stuff. That's 10,000 times more believable. But these knuckleheads make the same mistake every time. Like the high-end prostitutes, the guys running them then have all of your names. So at some point, if they get caught, they're going to want to trade your names for immunity or some sort of plea deal. They're going to have leverage over you. They could, blackmail you. I think that's more dangerous, not less dangerous. And the guys at the high-end prostitutes almost always get caught.
Yeah, so, sextortion, like that could totally happen. And so, the federal authorities who busted this brothel, made note of that. And I think that is a good point. But again, sex work is one of the oldest professions in the world. It's gonna continue happening. There's no stopping it, okay? Politicians are gonna risk it all to do what they do because they're human, just like everyone else. So the argument that I'm trying to make is just please legalize it and regulate it and get it off the streets. Like that's 100%. All I care about. Like please, don't do the half measure that California did. It's awful and everyone hates it. Please just be smart. It's not gonna go away. So offer the important protection and regulations to keep the sex workers safe. You're also gonna collect taxes. Sorry, sex workers, I'm sure you're not gonna love that, but you should be paying your taxes just like I pay my taxes. It should not be a black market business.
100%. So Heidi Fleiss was a high-end madam for a long time, if you remember that from back in the day. And the minute she got caught, what'd she do? She turned over the names, right? So she get a more lenient sentence. So guys, I wouldn't like, and by the way, one of the things that people thought Jeffrey Epstein was doing was extortion because he'd get these guys, really powerful guys, to engage in illegal sex with underage girls. Ugh. And he had videos everywhere, cameras everywhere, and they didn't know. And they think that he wasn't really in finance. He was just, he just made money by extorting these incredibly rich and powerful people. So now in his case, that was illegal stuff. So there's nothing you could do about that anyway. Nobody should come close to legalizing that, right? But for everyone else, you solve the main problem of extortion by just making it illegal.
Totally.
And so like if David Vitter wanted to do whatever he did, and I don't care. I care that he was a terrible Republican politician. But even if he did the diaper stuff, so what? How does that affect policy?
Exactly, yeah.
Is he for higher minimum wage or is he against higher minimum wage? I don't care what he does in the privacy of his own home. So, but when you make it seems so dirty and so wrong, it creates more and more pressure on the politicians if they get worried about getting caught. So that's the actual problem here. Legalize it, regulate it, and get beyond this whole thing of like, oh my God, people like to have sex. Oh, that's so naughty. Yeah. People like to have sex and they like to have sex in their own way. And then maybe it's not the same way you do. Get over it.
Get over it. It's great. Just get it off the streets. I don't want to see it. Okay.
She's back on that.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below because that makes you a member. And members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.